The best American men who compete in gymnastics have assembled for the 2001 edition of the U.S. Championships in Philadelphia. One of them is 27-year-old Stephen McCain, whose hopes of a first national championship at this late stage of his career were dealt a serious blow when, after a flurry of falls in the first day of competition, he was in 10th place.
I'd be lying if I said 10th place wasn't, I was a little bit upset with myself after the first day of competition, but after rationalizing it and thinking about it a little bit, and it really came down to one routine, 30 seconds of my life, one routine, and we're gonna cry about it, or we're gonna, get back up there and show them why I've had a lot of success in the past. I was a very frustrated individual. Every little thing got to me, and I'd blow up over the smallest thing, and I'd let that run my workouts, let it run a meet. I just felt like I was a time bomb waiting to go off at the Olympic trials last time.
McCain could be going to the Olympics because he's in 9th right now. He was 11th.
And that's it. That's it. I would have to say that this guy is not going to Atlanta.
Deep down inside of me, there was something that knew I was supposed to fall and not make the team.
Disappointed, Stephen McCain split, taking off for South Africa with a friend. It was a soul-searching time when he thought about putting gymnastics behind him. But when he saw the games on TV, he knew he was as good as what he saw. So in 2000, Stephen McCain returned to the Olympic trials in Boston, and this time things were different. He was older, wiser, and better. Plus, he finally became an Olympian. That was quite a celebration, and in the middle of it was the smile of Stephen McCain. So it was on to Sydney, where once again there were obstacles, like 2 badly sprained ankles, which made the experience very painful. But there were moments of triumph, which made everything seem worth it. Some outstanding routines completed Stephen McCain's Olympic dream, to the point where now he'd like to do it all again.
There's always a little bit of doubt, and that usually turns into fear, and then the fear causes like hesitation, and then next thing you know, falling off the equipment. But fear can be a good thing. It can, being nervous for competitions, for me, I like being nervous because it helps me really tune in to like my body, and everything's like awake and I'm ready to go. Whereas sometimes if I'm too relaxed, then you just, you don't have the edge. Tonight I'm not going after to win the competition, obviously. Now I can pretty much just turn off the brain and go in there and just worry about performing and looking good and being sharper. And I know the corrections I need to make. They're right there in front of me. And so I think the less you think, the less I think, the better I do usually. And I think that's going to be the key for me tonight.
The frustrations which are built into the sport don't go away. You just find a way to handle them differently as you grow older. His day begins on the high bar.
I love high bar competitions, and that's a great one for me to start on. For me, I think the key is when I start that apparatus, I have to be aggressive on it. There's no way I can make that high bar routine without being aggressive. I can't walk up there and be passive at all. I'm pretty excited about starting on that particular apparatus because, you nail a high bar routine, and that's an exciting routine to hit, and that can really jumpstart your whole meet.
This is one of Steve's best potential events, but when you are doing new code gymnastics and it's hard stuff, it's very difficult combinations like this right here. He'll go into his second release. Fingertips got that one. A couple years ago, he would be almost done, but nowhere near now. Hiked Kovac. Steve McCain came into this competition a legitimate contender to win the national title. It is a title every gymnast that grows up in the United States, they go to bed thinking about winning. Gonna help.
McCain walks off seeming to be energized by what he's just done, but sometimes what you think you see is a far cry from what the judges see.
When I heard my score, that I didn't even get into the 9s on that routine, I kind of blew up a little bit internally. I was like, man, you gotta be kidding me, you know? Like, you know, what am I gonna need to do to make this happen today? And I mean, I didn't let it cause any doubt in my head. It actually made me be a little bit more aggressive with the rest of the events.
As the first rotation moves along, there are still reasons for hope. Others ahead of him in the standings leave gaping holes of opportunity. Guard Young, 7.5. The mood swings could kill your mindset if you let them. McCain settles into his own private world where all the other routines are nothing he can control. Todd Thornton is another who falters. The next gymnast on the parallel bars is the man who is in first place. Poised to take that national title Stephen McCain had wanted for himself. Shawn Townsend now exudes an air that has eluded him in the past.
This guy has been in the shadows for a long, long time. John Roethlisberger, Blaine Wilson, not only they're idols of this guy, but have always come out on top in the all-around. It can be his time. Getting off to a great start, and this is a big routine. A lot of gymnastics going on. My bet, if he just does what he is remotely capable of doing, this guy walks home champion of the USA.
Better pike bell, better routine.
With some of the best Americans out due to injury, Townsend is out to grab some prestige. A 9.55 is the highest score of anyone in the competition so far. It is an early statement of how much he wants the national title. Stephen McCain should be buoyed by progress. Once in 10th place, he is now 5th after just one rotation, and there's a lot of gymnastics to go.
The U.S. Gymnastics Championships are brought to you by Twizzlers, Play First, Eat Later, and by GEICO Direct, the sensible alternative.
In spite of his low first rotation score, Stephen McCain has made up significant ground in the U.S. Gymnastics Championships. At Temple University's Liacouras Center, he is no longer 10th, but 5th. That's progress. Shawn Townsend remains the leader in a championship that has been won the last 5 years by Blaine Wilson. But his shoulder surgery and injuries to 2 others, Morgan and Paul Hamm, have made this championship a major opportunity for someone, and all the gymnasts know it.
The field was wide open this time. I think this might be the easiest national championships I've ever seen to win. And, you know, you fall off 3 times on horse, and it makes it real hard to win the meet, and that's just life.
McCain, at 27 years of age, is a high-level veteran now, and his tone has become much more philosophical than in years past. Growing up does that to you. Now in the second rotation, trailing by a staggering 3.5 points, he is in a place where he likes to be, about to mount the floor.
Scoring the highest score in the night, 9.55. Let's get back to competition.
Floor has actually been my most consistent event, which is kind of ironic, having had severe ankle sprains all last year. I wasn't able to actually tumble consistently till about March of this year. I think the key there is just the fatigue factor. You know, floor is one of the longer routines, so as long as I have stamina to really finish a good routine, I see myself doing well there.
Steve McCain says that floor exercise is his most stable. He feels most comfortable. Trickiest pass comes right off the top, 3 in a row. Little bit short on that. Every time you take a step, your body looks off balance. If it looks off balance, it's most likely a deduction. Beautiful flare work. This is something that has been majorly devalued, though, in the new code of points. Last time you saw a lot of flare work. Gives him nowhere near the bonus it did last time around. Steve thought after the Olympic Games that he was really done. He held on a little bit, went out on tour, got asked to go to an international meet, traveled to Russia, looked at the guys, said, "I'm just as good as them." Hop on the landing. It's not a big score, but it's not a disaster either.
McCain leaves looking dejected. Body language tells you so much. And it seems as though he feels that the magic he needs here is just not happening. Sometimes the body can't give you what you want.
Real fatigued at the end of that routine. Just trying to deal with not giving away really stupid errors because I was fatigued. I was just trying to stay tight, you know, if I had any hops or anything, trying to minimize it, be real clean. I got done. I wasn't that happy with floor, but again, it was a pretty decent routine. I think I was being really critical about my gymnastics, but I wasn't being critical in a negative way. I just really wanted to be perfect. So when like I didn't do what I consider was a great floor routine, but it was a pretty good routine, you know, I was still like, no, you know, like I just wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy with it, but it wasn't actually bringing me down, which was a good thing.
As McCain tries to gather himself, the championship moves on. About to mount the floor is Brett McClure, a rising star at the age of 20. With a strong 9.525 on high bar in the first rotation, he's keeping up with Sean Townsend.
For the past couple of years now, Brett has been good enough to place among the top 3 or 4 in the country. He just hasn't really been able to put it together when it really mattered. Most tricky tumbling pass right here. Very, very difficult. That step off to the side will hurt him just a bit. In the past, I would speak with Brett before the competition, and he would talk about being focused, being in the zone, but it almost looked a little bit manufactured. From start to this point, so far, he has been in that zone. New things in gymnastics. One of them is a required hold skill like that, or a press to a handstand you'll see from some of the gymnasts. Brett will do a slightly different dismount, kind of a combination run here, gets him 3/10 in bonus, very tricky at the end. He is doing a great job, Brett McClure.
McClure's floor exercise is not highly rewarded, however. The score is only an 8.8.
Next up on floor exercise, University of California, Berkeley's Tony Moore.
Stephen McCain has been part of USA Gymnastics for almost a decade now. The waiting and all that goes into it isn't easy. Sean Townsend is over at the high bar with his comfortable lead. And crunching the numbers, you realize he is getting to the point where he can put this away.
So Sean Townsend leading by just a little bit more than 1 point. I think if he gets through this exercise, it is all but over. New code of points, obviously. It's more difficult, more tricky. He's got one major release plan, but that's not the hardest part of this exercise. Here comes the release right here. Right on, a little bit close. Has to struggle a bit there, but this is where it gets all out nuts. Right here, he's going to set up and do a major combination into a triple somersault. Super difficult right here. Nope. Take the big chance. Sometimes you take the shot.
On your knees. Oh yeah, that's on the triple.
It is not the glorious finish Townsend may have dreamed about. An 8.575 clinches nothing.
Next up on Untitled, University of Illinois,
At this point, Stephen McCain could be thinking anything. It seems as though there's a lot going on in there as he constantly readjusts what he wants to get out of this day to be satisfied.
I kind of felt like looked like maybe I was giving off the impression that I wasn't having a good time, and I was having a good time, but I was kind of using the fact that I was a little bit upset that I was playing catch up to really go out there and be aggressive, I guess.
2 rotations down, 4 to go, and definitely a time to reestablish what the goals are. Stephen McCain is in 5th place at the U.S. Gymnastics Championships, knowing the top 4 get a guaranteed spot representing the United States at the World Championships. Brett McClure remains 2nd.
And this is a big routine for Brett McClure because he has the ability to bring in the huge score, one of the best basic circles in the country, beautiful extended body, and he just camps out on this one pommel. The longer you stay on it, you see those slight knee bend. It's going to cost him a couple of tenths at least. A lot of gymnasts struggling on that scissor element. But that's one is going to keep them in the game.
McClure receives a 9.25 on pommel horse. It remains to be seen what that does for him in the standings. Either way, it's worth a high 5 from Stephen McCain. What that score means is in the hands of the leader, Shawn Townsend. In the same group as McClure, McCain does more waiting room stuff. Soon he'll be as exhausted as McClure.
Mark of a champion. Got to be able to come back from adversity. Shawn's last piece of gymnastics, triple back, put his hands down. Most difficult part of the routine right here. Nearly perfect. Very, very difficult. Now he'll do something that's very tricky. 3 elements together. A little bit under-rotated on that. He had to kind of jump forward a little more quickly than he had hoped. His coach, Kevin GEICO, told me that it's important for Shawn to perform a little bit more. He says when he does that, and that's what he learned so well from the tour, when he performs, he is much, much better. This coda point's written for Shawn Townsend on floor exercise. Full twisting double somersault. Key in on that landing. Bang.
The crowd is clearly recognizing who has been consistently the best on all 6 apparatus, a depth of ability that separates a champion from everyone else in this sport.
What's that? No question on that?
Good, great.
Yeah, it looked like he landed.
Yeah, I think so.
Shawn Townsend moves one step closer to a great day. Meanwhile, the adversity cannot be any higher than it is here for Stephen McCain. This is the apparatus where it all came apart on night 1, and it makes you wonder what might have happened to a younger Stephen McCain in the same spot.
Done. Forget about it. I might have folded like a pair of 2s. Bad. Seriously. I mean, I did. You watch some old tapes of me. That was my, my story. That was my personality, was someone that didn't deal with failure very well. I was a perfectionist, and I still deal with it now. I mean, I had a couple of, mood swings after Wednesday where I was like, man, this is ridiculous. I work way too hard for this. I'm going to retire. You know, and you just, you know, you're getting nowhere. And then you finally get it. Okay, you know, let's be mature about this. Let's think about this. You know, and then that's when I kind of developed this, you know, my mindset for what I was going to do on Friday.
Quick swing.
I could score 9.5 on that event easily. It's an easy routine when you make it, but I'm gonna have to step up on that event tonight for sure. That's gonna be the one to watch. But that's exciting to me, you know. Really, I mean, that's the kind of stuff I like. I like these challenges, and you know, I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. I'm gonna walk up to it, and I'm really gonna attack it.
So, for all the mind games and all the game plans, you can be ready as you'll ever be. But you can't go until the judges say so.
Coming off floor, Steve McCain visibly exhausted. And that's a bit of a problem, especially on the pommel horse, and especially when you have such an ambitious routine plan. This baby would hold up all the, oh boy. And right from the get-go, in trouble. And if he's somehow able to hang on. Very, very difficult gymnastics. If he puts that all together, does it with clean form. This is world-class gymnastics. Amazing that he was able to hang on. He looked like he was totally off in the beginning. Not what he wants, but a lot better than night one.
Good job, Steve. That was unbelievable. That's Olympian.
At first, not much of a reaction. The score is an 8.9, a full 2 points better than the score from that first night. Had he simply done what he just did on that first day of competition, well, you can drive yourself crazy like that.
Steve, that was unbelievable. Thanks.
With the top 4 spots getting a guaranteed place at the U.S. World Championship team for October, the mission is still alive.
I'm thinking, at this point, I'm like, all right, I know now that I'm going to be, for the most part, I think I'm going to make the world team. I got rings, vault, and parallel bars. No problem. Now, let's just see if we can, you know, move up even more, you know. I knew that I was going to be in that top 5, and I knew I was going to stay there with those events coming up, but I wanted to get a little bit greedier and just see if I could move up as far as I could. I knew first was pretty much out of the question, and even second, the gap, I mean, it was just, the margin was too great, you know. But I definitely saw myself getting into that 3rd spot, and I kept looking at the scores and kind of watching what these guys were doing a little bit, and, you know, looking for the opportunity, and it just kept presenting itself.
As Stephen McCain tries to be good at being greedy, Shawn Townsend remains the leader in Philadelphia at the U.S. Gymnastics Championships. Jason Gatson has been through the ringer. Over the years, he dueled and built a strong friendship with the 5-time national champion Blaine Wilson. Finally, 2 years ago, he seemed ready to go for the crown. When at the U.S. Nationals, everything snapped and went horribly wrong.
Are you okay? It went out. Okay, I got you, Jason. I got you.
It was just one of those freak things. You know, I did a great high routine. I felt it was like one of my better routines, and then, you know, I just landed funny on the dismount. And my knee was thinking otherwise.
Gatson's initial diagnosis was correct. His knee was gone, blown out in one horrific crash landing. Minutes later, he restated his goal.
Well, this is going to make me stronger, and I'm going to get it fixed, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be on that Olympic team, and we're going to go to Sydney, and we're going to bring back a medal to the United States.
After reconstructive surgery, Gatson began the lonely, painful, wrenching process known as rehab. After months of that, he brought his dream back to the Nationals, where he would try to show everyone he would be ready for last fall's Sydney Olympics.
It's always been a dream of mine, winning a medal and standing on top of the podium. It's always been a goal. Just all the stuff I've been through, and I know what I've done, and I'm gonna rely on that, when I show up to competition.
The Nationals went horribly. And as a saddened crowd and his teammates watched, an Olympic quest became undone, one rotation at a time.
I've worked too hard so long for this, to make the Olympic team. I don't want to fall short of that, and I don't want to give that up.
Now, after the disappointment of not going to the Olympics has passed, Jason Gatson returns to the U.S. Nationals. But again, it's been a bad experience. Fourth rotation on the vault.
I asked Jason, how are you dealing with this? How do you keep pushing on? And he said, as a gymnast, it's just what we do. The struggle is part of it. Full twisting Sukahara right here. Great landing.
Got it?
Oh no.
What? Went in and out?
Yeah.
Do you feel it? Pretty bad? Can you check him out? How bad is it?
Jason, you okay? What? Just pop that a little bit. Why don't we take you off, okay?
Can you walk?
Like it went out a little bit, come back in.
Your first reaction is, this can't be. It's just not fair. Gatson's face is stunned. Something is wrong inside that knee again. Help is there quickly, and it's soon obvious Gatson can't put any weight on that knee. The brace was not enough protection. Gatson is met by the on-site orthopedist, who a few minutes removed from this picture will tell Jason Gatson that he has once again torn his ACL.
Next up on high bar, Mexico HCA Mike
Stephen McCain watches in silence. If you're a gymnast, you know and accept the risks, but that doesn't make it any easier to watch. As always, the competition moves on. This time, without Jason Gatson again. Across the floor, we find Raj Bhavsar. He goes to Ohio State. Interestingly, there are only 19 men's collegiate gymnastic programs still going. He's trying to do himself a solid here, earn a spot on the World Championship team with a top 4 finish.
Well, this young man had his biggest competition of his life last summer at the Olympic trials. Just making it there was a remarkable accomplishment. Attends Ohio State University, helped lead the Buckeyes to an NCAA title with skills like that. One more major release. He is wild. Sometimes a little bit sloppy, but his coach Miles Avery said he just hasn't been as fiery here. Hasn't been the typical Raj. Said at the beginning of workout today, though, he was back on track.
Raj Bhavsar has shown himself off well. He scores an 8.8, which may not seem high. However, in a comparative way, it's solid enough to keep him third, exactly where he wants to be. Bhavsar exudes a flair, a dynamic presence, and that's a big part of gymnastics. Body language. Stephen McCain certainly knows that, knowing that he needs to move up from 5th position if he wants to go to October's World Championships.
you can tell when a gymnast is on, or has really is into his game. You can see it. You can see it in everything that he does. The way he walks, the way the way he salutes, the way he performs. I mean, just everything. It just, the person will reek with it.
Here today, Stephen McCain's body language has been all over the place. Up, down, mad, disappointed, determined. He needs an 8.8 to move into fourth.
Come on, McCain's keeper. Get strong. Come on now.
The first strength move on rings, I think I've rarely held it ever in my life. It's a new strength move for me. I really just wanted to focus on that one skill in particular and give that one everything that I had. And the rest of the routine, I just tried to be clean and not appear to be struggling too much, even if I was tired. I missed the dismount, sticking the dismount, which I wasn't impressed with. But again, I was being pretty critical of myself. I wasn't in a good way, in a very good way.
Trying to stick a little too soon on dismount, Steve. The rest of it was great. Feel it?
I was happy to get, I think I got an 8.8. I was happy with that. I'm like, that's fine. That'll suffice.
All right, good job, Steve.
He's done it. He's moved up the 6 spots he needed. Now it's a matter of protecting what he's got. Blaine Wilson's run of 5 straight national titles ends here in Philadelphia, and it just doesn't seem the same.
It is definitely a different championships not having Blaine Wilson here. And for me, I've learned so much from Blaine. I learned so much just from being in a competition and looking over and see him do well. Just the way he handles pressure, and I have nothing but good things to say about his gymnastics, and I know he's going to be back. It's inevitable. I mean, he's a fighter.
So, Blaine, is it inevitable?
Oh, yes, it's inevitable. I'll be back 2003, looking to reclaim my national title.
The big question's why, though? Why do you want to come back at this point?
I don't think I'm done. I'm not worried so much about the individual stuff as I am about the team stuff. And I want to win a team medal, and that's why I'm coming back.
That stuff creeps up on you, age, and, people start retiring that were older than you, and then you keep getting older, and that was something that I wasn't used to dealing with at all. This year in particular, I had, oh, he's the old guy, or, oh, you're getting old, and and it's for me, it was kind of comical at first, and then it kind of hit me. I'm like, quit saying it, or, it's sort of, after a while, you start thinking, I am old.
As a veteran, McCain knows that the last 2 rotations is a time to concentrate and control your own destiny. As he moves to the vault, though, his eyes catch something that happens across the floor.
When I got to vault is when I started kind of noticing where my competitors were and what events they were doing. Because, I pretty much know those guys that were ahead of me. I kind of know maybe what events they're good at. And so I'm kind of looking, all right, are they ending on something like vault? If they're ending on vault, they're probably going to get a good score, because vault's pretty easy to get a good score. But I remember in particular looking over and seeing one of the guys in front of me mess up on floor.
Raj currently in 3rd spot. Floor exercise. This can be a huge routine for him. Most difficult run comes right off the bat. He'll finish with a double front, blind landing, very tricky. Right here. Oh.
I was like, oh, well, I'm at vault, so that should probably get me in that 3rd spot.
Stephen McCain's best score of the entire competition came here on the vault, and if he can repeat that 9.25, 3rd place is his.
Block.
Steve has been moving up all day long. Currently, he is in 4th. That guarantees him a spot on the world team, but when you're that close to 3rd, it's a whole different level. Kazamatsu with a full twist here, big vault.
Good job, Steve.
Great vault, just that small hop on the landing.
All right, Stevie, let's go. One more.
Gonna help.
McCain does it. He moves to top 3, a medal position.
Vault was fine. I just, starting to get into the mode where I'm not thinking too much of anything anymore. Like I'm starting to shut the brain off, you know. Like I'm watching my competitors and I'm seeing like kind of what's taking place in the meet, but I'm trying not to get too excited because I remember when I was running for the vault, I felt like my steps were off, you know, because I was maybe a little bit too excited, and just trying to relax and do a good vault. Wanted to focus on the landing, sticking that landing, but it just didn't happen.
McCain now has to get it together for a parallel bars finish. Meanwhile, Sean Townsend moves to one of his best apparatus. With a lead of over a point, this is about to become the most important thing he's done in the sport he loves.
You know, as I said, Sean Townsend has forever been in the shadows of gymnasts like Lane Wilson. He is 2 routines away from his first national title. And yeah, a lot of people say a lot of injured athletes this year, but you got to give the guy his due, no question about it. It is never easy to win the big one, the national championship. Super strong athlete. During the tour, really bulked up a lot. Has a routine that works exceptionally well with the Dakota points. And it's such a stable event for him because you really can't, if you're strong enough to do it, you're not going to fall on it. Simple dismount for Sean.
Nice to see you smile. Sweet.
Yeah, even at 9-3.
Good job, sir. That was better. I mean, I know you're a little bit weaker today, but I mean, your wrists are flat.
Was the cross tank off? Make sure I was held it.
No, it was good. Wrists are flat. Handstand's better. Awesome. Awesome.
The U.S. Gymnastics Championships are brought to you by the 2002 Pontiac Bonneville, luxury with attitude, and by SunAmerica, the retirement specialist.
The U.S. Gymnastics Championships in Philadelphia move to a last rotation, everyone's final performance. For Stephen McCain, that means parallel bars and confidence.
I'm thinking I got this thing. I did it. Pretty much. I didn't want to get too excited or whatever, but I'm like, it's just one. I mean, at this point, it's like, in my mind, I couldn't even imagine falling off that event. I mean, I couldn't. It was like, and I didn't feel like there was anything that I could do or think that was going to cause me to mess up. So I was just kind of, whatever. I was pretty eager to go. Actually, I was like, let's go. I'm ready. Let's go. I'm ready for this meet. I'm ready to seal it.
McCain came here to win a national title. As things have proceeded, he's had to readjust, and now that means hanging on to third place. Sean Townsend knows he's going to win this championship, but there is something to be said for really ending things and making it official.
One last huge vault. Handspring 2.5. It's a big one.
All right.
It's for sure.
National champion, brother. Celebrate. Next, buddy.
For McCain, it's finally time to cement his status as well.
Straight arms, good swing, come on. Wait. Wait till the foot city. Ready? All right, Steve, they're ready anytime you are.
Well, Raj made Steve's job a little bit easier. Big combination right here. Got to keep it moving. That's really only one more place where the dream of another world team could be derailed. He amends his routine just a little bit there. Not going to be enough to cause him any major deduction. Going to lose a little bit of bonus. Land on your feet.
wouldn't be gymnastics if it didn't leave you with one last bump or bruise to remember the event by. Stephen McCain checks his thumb. As he does that, Raz Bobsar checks the scores. He finishes 4th and is going to the World Championships, but misses the podium by 4/10. Sean Townsend will go to those Worlds as the U.S. national champion, and he's alert enough to remember someone who pushed him along the way, teammate Jason Gatson, who now has another long rehab in front of him. Brett McClure finished in 2nd place, and he will also go to the World Championships in October. Joining him, Guard Young, a 5th place finisher who was named to the team.
After fighting this week about focusing so much on winning, you came out and you did it.
Yeah, it was a battle. I mean, I had fun out there, and it came out like I expected, and I was on top, and it was great.
You reached right over, or you pointed right over to Blaine Wilson.
Well, yeah, I can't wait for him to come back, because when he comes back, I'm going to be right there at his heels. Either that or I'm going to beat him, so can't wait till he comes back. So.
Okay, you've been dreaming about it and working at it. It's really real now, Sean. What's it like? It's really real.
It's awesome. I'm just like speechless right now. I don't know what to say or anything. It still hasn't kicked in yet, but it was great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Sean.
For Stephen McCain, it's all one big learning process. Gymnastics works for him, and he's learned that this is his window of opportunity. Why get to life after gymnastics so fast?
I was pretty determined to retire after the Olympics. I just felt accomplished, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. But, you know, I realized I only had a few more years to do it, and then it's gone. I mean, as good as I can possibly get at gymnastics, I've got about 3 years left, and it's gonna be gone like that, you know? And so there's something about it, you know? It's something about doing gymnastics to me that it's so natural, and I can't explain it, you know? Nothing I do for gymnastics is a sacrifice. Nothing. It's just all part of the process. You know, I think that's why I've had success with so much failure, is because nothing was, in my eyes, the ultimate failure. Nothing was a sacrifice. It was all part of the process. It was all part of learning how to be a better gymnast and how to succeed. And for me, a lot of my success is based on learning how to deal with failure. Falling, getting back up, and falling, and getting back up, falling, and getting back up, and, you know. I mean, the way things are kind of going for me this year, I think it would have been really nice to have a title, for sure. I think, you know, maybe it was time even, but there's still a couple more years left in my career, and I'm getting better and better every day, so this is definitely not my last opportunity.